the town. So we do have 2 state reps we can choose on the ballot, okay? And before we hear from our first candidate for the District 15 position, she's not here tonight, but I'm sure she's watching on TV. We have our longtime state rep, Mary Allen, who's retiring. So I'm sure she's got the TV on. So can we all give her a round of applause to thank her? She's done a great job for Newton. It's big shoes to fill. So we're going to hear from each candidate. I'd like to welcome, first off, Kate Michaels. If you want to come up and tell us all about yourself. Thanks.
Thank you so much, and everyone, for caring enough to be here. Okay, Red Sox, I'm going to try to go quickly. So I'm Kate Michaels. This is my second run for state rep, and it would be an honor and privilege to represent you all, and hope I will have your vote November 6th. My daughter and I moved here after the death of her father 6 years ago for a better quality of life, which we have absolutely found in this town. Always have dreamt of living in a small, beautiful town close to nature with good neighbors, and it's just very grateful to have that here. We absolutely have a way of life worth protecting. Living here, I have found, luckily, that we share far more than what divides us: love of our family, friends, and wanting a future that fills us with hope. So I'm running because I want to give back, because Newton matters and you matter. So I'm a mother. My daughter's a sophomore in college, small business owner, educator, clinical social worker who specializes in addiction, trauma, PTSD, also trained in mediation, conflict resolution, and clinical research, which means I dig deep to get to the bottom of issues and to find out what is true. I spent a lifetime helping and empowering people, and I want to bring these skills in Concord for you to help all the people of Newton. This is done by working across the aisle with caring, hard work, integrity, availability, and fiscal responsibility, which is always asking how much does it cost and who's going to pay for it. I've seen firsthand in my life what we can accomplish when we work together to innovate together, empower one another to be our best. Innovating really does require being open-minded, flexible, curious, and really listening to one another, even those you don't think you agree with, because there's absolute value in these differences. And if you're ideologically entrenched and unwilling to listen, you cannot innovate. So I will keep an open conversation with the people of Newton, because working together is important. It's a collaborative process. It means meeting with the residents, the selectmen, the school board, the seniors, all groups, and listening to what is needed, and then coming up with innovative ways to deal with these needs. Now, I've learned a lot by living here and talking to people here at the transfer station, where you may have seen me. One woman was so distraught because her financial planner told her the only way she couldn't retire in Newton. They said, well, you can retire in Newton. You can't. You have to move out. My neighbors expressed this concern. Many people have expressed this concern when we've talked to the high school seniors who've been our interns. That's the overwhelming problem with their parents. They're worried about property taxes. They all have friends who've moved out of Newton to areas with lower taxes, and we know these issues create a void, which we have to be, is met with raising property taxes, and this becomes a vicious cycle that is not sustainable for our town. So there are many important issues to address in Concord for you, so we can make Newton thrive. I don't have time to cover them all, but if you get me talking somewhere else, I have a lot to say. But one of the most crucial, which we all know, is the unfair burden of state expenditures onto the backs of municipalities, where sadly small towns like Newton, who can afford it the least, are affected the most. And in order to maintain the sustainability of this way of life, which I love, I will work tirelessly in Concord to deal with the spending problems there and school funding mess that translates to our higher property taxes and erodes our way of life. This includes being very vocal about the structural deficit, finding ways to fix it, bring money back to our town, as well as creating a coalition of leaders to find innovative ways to help this problem. Right out of the gate, I plan on working on HB 413, which is coming back around. That will bring 15% of revenue back to the towns that got shifted with 35% of the pension deficit in 2011, which increased property taxes to municipalities by $400 million. The bill lost by 1 vote, and I'm going to work with Representative Cushing, if I'm lucky enough to be elected, and others to get it passed this time around. It would be a big help to us. I am opposed to SB 193, which is coming back. That's the voucher bill that was struck down because even Republicans crossed the aisle, realizing it would devastate our towns, small towns with very high taxes. In the note of the bill, it showed an increase in property taxes by $100 million over 10 years. And you don't do measures like that if there's not enough money to start with. That's an example of those in power implementing ideology and downshifting it to municipality. We can't thrive in conditions like these. I'm going to be real, I really care about this. Right now, the corporate tax decrease, which corporations did not ask for, we have the 7th in the nation for favorable business tax climate before the decrease, and the loss of income of $100 million over 10 years to the general fund from this has been studied. Who's going to pay for that? We are! Okay, here in Newton. And taxes go up, vicious cycle continues, and we have to work, there's a lot, so much to work on, but we have to work on the unfair school funding issues, many issues from many angles to solve the problems, and frankly, I'm actually had it. It's not fair. I will work hard as your watchdog and advocate to stop measures like these that hurt our town and implement measures that help, and I definitely view all legislation through this lens. One, we'll try to go quick now. In tantamount to me and you are considering legislation through the eyes of your health and well-being. This is focus of my life's work. The CDC may know this, recently rated New Hampshire with the highest rate of breast and bladder cancer in the nation, the highest rate of pediatric cancer in the nation. It's heartbreaking, it's completely unacceptable. Studies are showing direct correlation to pollution and contamination of our groundwater, which occurred with no thought to human health and only with cutting costs in mind, and it makes me very upset. It has to stop. We are all interdependent on the environment in which we live, and we need clean air, water, soil to maintain our health, and honestly, we're only as healthy. Our communities are only healthy when we are. So I believe people matter, you and your families, your right to prosper, to safety, to a positive future. You're more important than political parties to me, to corporate agendas, big lobby groups, super PACs, special interest groups, and honestly, the only special interest group that matters to me is you. And when you look at the trajectory of my life, I hope you'll find that you can put your trust in me when you enter the ballot box on November the 6th and vote Kate Michaels for Newton. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Kate. All right, thank you, Kate. And the challenger, the opponent, Mr. Charlie Melvin. Yeah.